You wouldn't believe how knowing this one little thing has helped my social media account grow to over 750,000 followers, and it can help just about anybody's account. I remember the epiphany happened when I was walking through the Museum d'Orsay in Paris, France. I was looking at all these beautiful paintings that I only knew of from books or the internet. And one of the coolest things about seeing the art live and in person is seeing the actual size of it, am I right? What was the intended size of the art that the artist wanted us to experience it at? And going through a beautiful place like the Museum d'Orsay, you can't help but to not just admire the art, but also notice the beautiful rooms and the beautiful frames that were created to house the art. Such varieties, each one with its own unique style and specific size. Some paintings were meant to be looked at a large scale, and then some were meant to be looked at a much smaller scale. I noticed that my experience changed when I saw a small painting that I thought was a very large painting in real life, or vice versa. Scale obviously matters, I thought, and I was experiencing this firsthand. And it's probably no surprise to you when I say that most of our art these days is viewed through our phones. But have you ever wondered how this little fact can help you strengthen your social media? Usually, when we make art, we do the art first, and then we create the frame to put our art in. But now, when you think about it, we kind of have it backwards. The frame sizes are already established, and generally, they're tiny because they're our phones. And once I realized this, I started to plan my art with that in mind. I would think this is a small piece of art, meant to be looked at on a cell phone. And with those established rules in mind, it would help me answer any questions I might have for myself about the piece of art. Is this part too contrasting, or is it maybe not noticeable enough? Maybe because of the sheer size of it, it wouldn't be noticed at all. The sizing and the framing of the characters becomes intentional, knowing that the viewer will be digesting the art generally at a small scale. You wonder why I don't paint vast, epic, horizontal landscapes? Because try to look at an epic horizontal landscape on Instagram. You barely see it. Not only is it contained within your phone, but it becomes only a small strip on your phone screen. So even though you're probably painting on a big monitor, if your end goal is for your piece of art to be on social media, design it in a way where the art really matches how it's framed and the size of it. It also helps to think about the main colors of the platform that you would be posting on. For example, I've noticed that my orange paintings got more engagement on Facebook and Twitter when Twitter was blue. Why? Because orange is a very contrasting color when it's put into a blue environment, attracting attention away from other posts and putting it towards my orange painting. So think about the frame people will be viewing your art in, and that will help you create more art more effectively if you're looking for engagement. Now, having said all that, I feel very fortunate to have experienced a good chunk of my life without social media. In those times, I would generally experience art through books or television or occasional events or visiting museums. And because each of these things are adjustable, in other words, you can have different size books. Artists can determine the size themselves. There's different sizes of television screens. Museums have different size rooms and different size frames that the paintings can hang in, leading to all sorts of different kinds of experiences. Now, by human nature, most artists will gravitate towards things that bring us more positive encouragement, feedback, and engagement. And because of this, so much of the art we see are images that look good at a small scale. Have you ever stood in front of a large, epic painting? The sheer size of the painting really matters. So much of that feeling is lost when it's been converted into a tiny little thumbnail, right? Some images are not meant to be absorbed all at once at such a small scale, but instead supposed to bring the viewer through a journey, through the various parts of a painting because it's so big. But when you look at a painting at a thumbnail size, because of the sheer size, you're able to look at the entire painting all at once, which may not be the intention of the creator. How many of you remember times before social media, but still having the internet, right? Internet 1.0. At those times, viewing art was generally through your computer monitor. And back then, Epic art, like vast landscapes, were much more popular. Most of these were done horizontally, filling up the majority of your screen. So you can get really lost in the painting, looking at all the tiny little details. But try looking at an epic horizontal landscape in Instagram. You can zoom in, but it doesn't look nearly as epic than when viewed at a larger scale, right? Therefore, it's less impressive and then gets less engagement and less likes and starts to deter people from making horizontal epic images. The frame matters. Imagine how the Mona Lisa would feel if it was in a futuristic metallic frame. It would just feel different. And anybody that has experienced art before social media and then after has definitely experienced a shift in the amount of pinup art that has flooded our feeds. Not that there's anything wrong with pinup art. There's lots of amazing artists that do absolutely beautiful work that I respect very, very much and follow. But thinking about how most of us view art now through our little small handheld devices, it makes perfect sense. The size of our phones are smaller than the average sketchbooks, so it makes sense that the more popular things would be closer shots, chest up, more aligned with what makes a good thumbnail. Now, the chew on this part of the video is this. Having the majority of viewers absorb our art through cell phones is kind of like the equivalent of if everybody was restricted to a certain size frame for their paintings. I can't help but to think if something or some aspect of art will be deterred because of it, like epic horizontal landscapes. But on the other hand, this is something we've dealt with working on movies for all these years, right? Even though there are a few different screen ratios, we are all generally working off the same set of established frames. And plenty of beautiful work and creativity has still come out of it. But then, on the other hand, what kind of art will come out once we break free of the standard frame sizes and become unlimited with our choices through things like VR or AR, if it ever catches on, where we could create, see, and experience art with the intended scale and frame sizes and shapes of frames dedicated by the artist and not the cell phone. It's something really cool to think about. Another thing on my mind is that there's this new structure in Las Vegas called the Sphere. Have you guys seen this? It's the largest spherical building in the world, opening up this month, this September. It looks absolutely surreal from the outside. And it looks like from the inside, people will be able to experience a screen that is not flat, but concave. And that is so big, it goes past your peripheral vision, letting the viewer experience things that they were never able to experience before at such a large scale. I'm very interested in this. Darren Aronofsky will be debuting his movie there called Postcard from Earth, Inside the Sphere in October. What will that be like? I have no idea, but hopefully it's just a glimpse of how many more ways we will be able to experience art and entertainment in the future. It could be absolutely amazing. What do you think? Or what do you think about any of this stuff I've been talking about? As always, let's discuss in the comments. This is Bobby Chew. Share, comment, and subscribe if you want future content of Chew on This. And I'll talk with y'all next time.